Today's video will be a hero guide, and our hero of focus is Slayer. And getting right into it, we shall start by going through Slayer's abilities. And first up, we have the thermovision. Thermovision allows the hero to shoot through walls for 9 seconds. The hero's movement speed is reduced by 70%, and the hero's piercing power is increased by 10. On knocking out an enemy, an ability charge is restored. That means every time you knock out someone, you get an extra charge of thermovision. And finally, there is a 0.5 seconds delay after activating the thermo ability. So you can't shoot for half a second when you activate the thermovision. And then we proceed to the second ability called the bandage. Activating the bandage restores 390 health to the hero, and the hero's running loudness is reduced by 50% for 4 seconds. And for the third ability, we have the slaughter cartridges. The hero's piercing power is increased by 11. The hero has 25% more maximum health, 25% more maximum armor, and 20% more damage. On hitting an enemy, the enemy cannot shoot and cannot see for 1.25 seconds. And our final ability is called targeting. And with this ability, on hitting an enemy, all allies gain a 50% increase in their damage, and also their aimed fire spread is reduced by 45%. Both of these effects last for 5.5 seconds and are only activated for allies within a range of 400. That brings us to the end of Slayer's abilities. And then we proceed to some tips and tricks which you should note while using Slayer. First of all, we need to understand the playing style of such a hero. When you're playing heroes like Slayer, Blot, and sometimes a hero like Cyclops, these heroes require you to be patient. You need to relax and keep calm, because if you panic and make the wrong decisions, it becomes very easy for enemies to take you out, especially with Slayer. So the first tip here is to keep calm, relax, because even if you panic, you're most likely going to miss your shot and the enemy will immediately attack you. And then the second tip is it's always important to let your gun aim first and then turn it towards the enemy to allow for the highest possible chance of hitting the enemy. So what you basically do here is you have your gun pointing in a different direction away from the enemy. So the gun will take like a few seconds to aim. That means the red cone will become small, and when the red cone becomes small, then you slowly turn it towards the enemy to get the hit. If you don't do this, you're going to turn the gun towards the enemy and you're most likely going to miss the shot because there's a higher chance that the bullet will go in a different direction. So this is a tactic which most players use to aim with this hero, and it works whether using thermovision or not. And especially with thermovision, doing this actually helps you to have that element of surprise, because the enemy will not get the crosshairs on their head as long as you're not pointing the gun towards them. The moment you point the gun towards the enemy, the gun will fire immediately and they won't get any warning that you're aiming at them. So aiming to the side is definitely a very good trick to use. And then we proceed to the third tip, which is you should always be ready to move from one position to another, especially after you fire a shot. Whether you get the kill or not, the enemy that you fired at and possibly their allies will realize your position and will most likely try to get to you. So it helps to always change positions every after a shot. This will give you more chances to take out enemies before they realize where you are. And then that brings us to the next point. This takes a bit of practice, but you're eventually gonna need to learn how to use walls and corners to hit enemies without aiming. And the way this works is when you use a wall or a corner to kind of reduce the size of your cone. In this case, the wall acts as an obstruction for the cone, and basically that remaining part of the cone allows you to be able to hit the enemy accurately if they come into contact with it. The wall helps you to eliminate part of the cone, and then the remaining cone is kind of smaller and hence increases the chance of you hitting the enemy. It obviously takes a bit of practice, but after a few tries, you'll be able to do it, and it's a neat trick to use, especially when your enemies don't expect you to be able to hit them. And then we proceed to the next point. Obviously, it helps to pick around corners. This trick works with every single hero. Picking around a corner will obviously allow you to hit enemies without them being able to hit you. Next up, you don't need to always be in the open. Like, you don't need to be in the middle of the map, surrounded by different enemy teams. Remember, the hero you're using is a sniper, and snipers are played in such a way that they keep their distance from the battlefield, and they try as much as possible to keep the enemy at the end of their aimed firing range, to make it as hard as possible for enemies to strike them back, because obviously they have the highest range in the game. So it makes no sense for you to play in the middle of the map and expose yourself at all times. Always try to stay near a wall and find ways of protecting yourself. And that brings us to the next point. You should always be ready to use your pistol, because Slayer is one of the heroes whose pistol is actually a decent weapon. This is because whenever the enemy is hit, the enemy cannot see and cannot shoot for 1.25 seconds, which allows you to hit the enemy again and again, and they won't have a chance to strike you back. They will have no option but to run away. The next tip here is all about reloading. Every time you're not engaging enemies, just reload your gun and make sure that you don't run out of ammo during a battle and expose yourself. And then the next point here is you need to keep trying no scopes in open space. Even if you're not near a wall, you can still hit the enemy without aiming. The only issue is it takes much more luck and most of your shots will miss. Just keep in mind that the more no scopes you try, the more no scopes you'll land. So I guess that's it for the tips, and then we proceed to the possible gear combinations. Now, these possible gear combinations include gearsets which I've tried out and which have worked for me in the past. But getting right into the gearsets here, the first gearset is a gearset for those who don't have personal gears. And in this set, we have the combat headband for more aimed fire range. We have the reflex implant for less primary weapon spread. We have the arm implant for more aimed range and a bigger clip size. We have the leg implant for more piercing power and less fire spread. Then we have the thug knuckles for more damage to health, and the exploder for more aimed range. This set works very nicely if you don't have personal gears, and you notice that it has a good number of gears which increase your aimed fire range. So this will allow you to hit enemies that are very far from you, too far from you to shoot you back. In this gear set, by the way, instead of the leg implant that gives you more piercing power, you can use the technique pads for a faster fire rate, if you prefer that. And then for the second gear set here, this is also another gear set without personal gears. And in this set we have the Special Forces Optics, which reduces your aiming time. So this means the red cone will become small faster. And then we have the Reflex Implant for less primary weapon spread. And then we have the Arm Implant for more aimed range and a bigger clip size. Then we have the Precision Implant for higher movement speed while aimed. So this doesn't allow you to move faster, but it just increases the speed at which you can move when your gun is aimed. And then we have the thug knuckles for more damage to health. And then the rad implant that just gives you some health per second. Rad implant is not a very useful gear in this set, but having 2 set gears on any sniper increases their damage to health, which is important for snipers. So that's why we have the rad implant, just for us to have 2 set gears and have that extra damage to health. And then we have the third set here. This set is for maximum range, and this is also the set which I'm currently using. In this set we have the combat headband for more aimed range. We have the Spetsnaz pouch for more aimed range and less spread while moving. We have the arm implant for more aimed range plus a bigger clip size. We have the leg implant for more piercing power and less fire spread. We have the Spetsnaz tags for more damage to health and more vision. And then we have the exploder for more aimed fire range. Notice how this gear set has so many gears that increase the aimed fire range. So with this set you will be able to strike enemies which are very far away from you, and if you can find a scope on the map, that will increase your range beyond even what your vision can see. And then we have the final set here, which is for maximum damage to health and a higher fire rate. In this set we have the Spetsnaz headphones, which give you a higher fire rate. We have the Spetsnaz pouch, which increase your aimed range and give you less spread while moving. Then we have the arm implant for more aimed range and bigger clip size. We have the technique pads for a higher fire rate. We have the thug knuckles for more damage to health. We have the rad implant that gives you that health per second. Again, this set has 2 set gears for more damage to health, and as you can see, we have the technique pads for a higher fire rate and also the Spetsnaz headphones for the same thing. So 2 gears increase your fire rate, and then you have the thug knuckles which increase your damage to health, in addition to 2 set gears which also increase your damage to health. Yeah, so I guess that's it for the gear sets. As always, you can always drop more tips which other players can apply. You can drop those tips in the comments. And I guess that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.